Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tales and Tales, Animals Through the Seasons. And we are going to talk about winter today and the black bears of Kentucky. Brought to you by Miss Jessie, that's me, the Children's Youth Services Librarian, and the Perry County Public Library. This is a black bear. Black bears are powerful. They have large bodies that grow to 4 to 6 feet in length when they're full grown. While variant color phases may exist, bears are typically black with a brown muzzle and may exhibit a white patch on their chest. In Kentucky, an adult female usually weighs between 120 to 170 pounds, while the adult male can go between 250 and 350 pounds. Have you ever seen a black bear? I've seen a black bear. It was getting into the trash can. Here we have a map of Kentucky, and this is the black bear distribution in Kentucky. Now, the real dark green along the edge in Pike, Perry, Letcher, Harlan, Bell, Whitley, McCreary, and Wayne, that's the core bear range. That means we have the highest concentrations of black bears in Kentucky. Then we have our resident bear range, which is the lighter color green, and that goes all the way up north from Greenup and Lewis, all the way down to Russell and Clinton County. And then we have some isolated sightings, which it's one or two. That's in the gray. That's in the middle part of your Kentucky. And then you have your county boundaries, and that's at the main edge of Kentucky in the west. So we're lucky here in Perry County that we have a lot of black bears. Years ago, bears have now been equipped with GPS, which is the Global Positioning System, with the Fish and Wildlife. So they're radio collars that link with the orbiting satellites to remotely collect locations at various times and periods. Think of it like it's a place where we can keep up and see where the bears are visiting. And research shows that a male bear can cover between 200 to 500 kilometers. That's a long way to walk, guys. And that's about 77 to 193 square miles. And conversely, a female home range averages about 20 kilometers or about 8 square miles. They like to den up. And if you look, this is pictures that we have of what a bear footprint looks like. Now, bears are very opportunistic feeders, and this adaptation allows them to thrive in many varied habitats and climates. In other words, bears love to eat. During the spring and summer months, bears in the southern Appalachians, like where we live at, feed on grasses and fruits such as blackberries and blueberries and huckleberries. In the fall, a diet of hard mast composed of acorns, beech nuts, and they put on fat for the winter because they like to hibernate during the winter. And I think that's just really cool. So when we're camping, we got to be careful because they may steal your picnic basket, much like Yogi the Bear. Black bears are extremely curious animals. So, as likely as a result of them being very curious, they tend to get into things. So, little tiny black bears, the babies, they emerge from their dens only weighing between 5 and 10 pounds, and cubs have less than 1 year to learn the necessary skills to ensure their survival as a solitary yearling. And this quickly promotes the development of exploratory behaviors. In other words, it makes them look around and they're curious, and it helps them learn to navigate and go through all the large terrain that we have in Kentucky. And while bears may appear calm and non threatening, they should be treated very much with respect because they are still a wild animal and their behavior can be unpredictable. We do not approach bears, especially when they have their cubs with them. We do not approach bears. There we have, like we said, black bears are very curious creatures and they eat a little bit of anything. So We try not to leave food in our cars. They sometimes get into our local honey hives. They get into the trash. They'll get into bird feeders. And if you didn't know this, it is dangerous and illegal to feed bears in Kentucky. And you can be fined up to $1,000 or even spend a year in jail if you're caught feeding bears on the regular. Now, we have some simple guidelines, and this came from the Fish and Wildlife, fw.ky.gov, talking about black bears. And these are simple guidelines that will minimize any unnecessary and potentially dangerous encounters. So these will help keep us safe when we never approach a bear. Black bears are extremely powerful animals whose behavior can be unpredictable. Black bears are very curious. We talked about that. And that shouldn't be confused with aggression. Most of the time, they're just really curious. And if a bear approaches you in the wild, it's likely only trying to figure out your presence of like, hey, what are you doing in my house? Black bears will often stand upright to attain a better sense of smell, so they'll be up and they'll be smelling. And if you see a black bear from a distance, alter your route of travel. So if you see it that way, we might want to go this way. When camping in bear country, which we are, keep all of our food stored in a vehicle or away from tents, but they will get into vehicles. If approached by a bear, stand your ground, raise your arms to appear larger, and yell at it to leave the area. Never run from a bear. This will trigger an instinct to chase. Kind of like when you play with your dog or your cat and you get them to chase you. That's the same with a bear. They think, oh, they want to play. I'm going to chase them. Or they're prey, and I'm going to get them. And if a black bear attacks, fight back aggressively and do not play dead. Since we learned a few things about black bears today, I thought we could read a book too, called Big Bear Hug by Nicholas Odlin. Brought to us by Kids Can Press Publishing. There once was a bear so filled with love and happiness that whenever he roamed the forest and came across another living thing, he would give it a hug. Everywhere he wandered, the bear shared his love, hug by hug. He even hugged creatures that the bears have been known to eat. This bear could meet the roundest, littlest rabbit, and he would just stop, smile, and give it a great big hug. No animal was too big, too small, too smelly, or too scary to hug. But what this bear loved to hug most were the trees. The bear never met a tree he did not like. Big trees, little trees, apple trees, pear trees, peach trees. This bear hugged them all. One day, while the bear was trying to hug a beaver and a tree at the same time, he noticed a man with an axe walking into the forest. The bear followed the man until he stopped at one of the tallest, oldest, and most beautiful trees in the forest. The man spent so much time looking at this magnificent tree that the bear thought he must love trees too. But, to the bear's horror, the man started to chop the tree down. For the first time in his life, the bear didn't feel like hugging at all. Then, just as he was about to sink his teeth into the man, the bear stopped. He realized that no matter how angry he was, he simply could not just eat the man. It just wasn't in his nature. The bear sighed, and then he decided to do what he did best. He gave the man a hug. The man was not used to getting real big bear hugs, so once the bear let go, the man dropped his axe and ran far, far away. And do you know what the bear did next? The bear smiled and gave the tree a great big hug, and the tree felt much better. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope you enjoy this craft. We're going to do DIY bear masks, and we're going to need some supplies. We're going to need a paper plate, just one of the little flimsy ones that we use for crafting all the time, a craft stick, because that's going to hold our mask in place, black or brown paint, because we have black bears and brown bears, or if you wanted to do white, we have polar bears, a sponge brush or paintbrush, some glue, and scissors, and we want to use that with adult supervision. So we're going to gently fold our paper plate in half, and then we are going to cut out the center of our plates, just like shown. That's where we're going to put our face through. Next, we're going to fold our middle and cut it in half to make ears on the side. And if you want to cut them down and not make them as big, that is perfectly fine. We would just fold it in half, and then we would cut up the middle, and we would make two half circles, and that will be our bear ears. Next, using your brown or your black paint, or if you have markers, want to use markers, that's perfectly fine, or crayons. You can paint your plate circle black and your halves black. Look at there, they're going to be the cutest bear ears ever. Now, we're going to let that dry for a little bit. And once it's dry, we're going to glue the ears to the back and top of our paper ring. So we want to put them toward the back so they stick out and we can see our bear ears. Or if you want to glue them to the front too, it's either way you want to do it. After that's glued on the back and to the bottom side, we're going to glue our craft stick because that's going to be our stick to hold on to. And we can stick our face through and we can look and we're going to be the cutest black bear ever, or brown bear, or polar bear. We might even make a panda bear. Hadn't thought about that one. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed Animals Through the Season and your summer reading 2021.